And now, Lindell TV brings you the Stone Zone with legendary Republican strategist and political icon and pundit Roger Stone. Stone has served as a senior campaign aide to 3 Republican presidents. He is a New York Times best-selling author and a longtime friend and advisor of President Donald Trump. As an outspoken libertarian, Stone has appeared on thousands of broadcasts, spoken at countless venues, and lectured before the prestigious Oxford Political Union and the Cambridge Union Society. Due to his 4+ decades in the political and cultural arena, Stone has become a pop culture icon. And now, here's your host, Roger Stone.
Welcome, I'm Roger Stone, and yes, you are back in the Stone Zone. This weekend, Turning Point USA had their annual conference in Palm Beach, and I must admit it was a barn burner. President Donald Trump and Tucker Carlson brought down the House in extraordinary speeches, but there was an all-star lineup. Very grateful to Charlie Kirk for inviting me to speak. Tomorrow on the Stone Zone, we will show you my entire remarks. But for today, I wanted to spend as much time on politics as we possibly could. However, my good friend Jimmy Levy, the voice, as we call him, Sweet Song of Israel, opened the show, and we're going to show you that now.
Who's brought stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet away for the land of the free and the home of the brave? God bless America.
That was Jimmy Levy, ladies and gentlemen. He's a gospel singer of the old school. He has a golden voice blessed by the Lord. We've had him here several times on the Stone Zone, and he and I are now focusing together to fight the scourge of child sex trafficking. We'll have more to tell you about that on the Stone Zone later this week. I had the privilege of speaking to the Turning Point Conference on Sunday, and I brought a lot of fire myself. I always think it's important in these situations to do more than just rally the troops. I decided it was time to make some news. Here are my remarks regarding what I think is becoming very evident. They're about to give Joe Biden the hook between the extraordinary and epic corruption of Joe Biden himself and his son and his brother and other members of the Biden crime family, which they cannot suppress no matter how many expensive, nasty lawyers they employ to threaten people, and Joe Biden's vacuous presence at the podium, where there are clearly times that he has no idea where he is or what he is doing. And then lastly, because of his disastrous policies and their impact on America, I have on this show and in other forums said for some time that I believe it was only a matter of time before Barack Obama, the de facto president of the United States, in the sense that these current policies are his policies, this is his third term, decide that Joe and his wife and his entire family is expendable. When CBS and the New York Times begin covering the Biden's crimes as opposed to covering them up, you know that the jig is up. Here's what I said to Turning Point USA in Palm Beach on Sunday.
Now, as a veteran of many years in American politics, I'm going to tell you something somewhat shocking.
Joe Biden will not be the nominee of the Democratic Party in 2024. Kamala Harris will briefly become president, but the only way in their party they can replace a woman of color is with another woman of color. And yes, you heard it here first. The Democratic nominee for president will be Michelle Obama. They have already rigged their primaries. The reason that they have canceled the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary is to put South Carolina, a state where a majority of the Democratic primaries or primary voters are African Americans, and they will allow Gavin Newsom to purchase the vice presidential nomination, but the Obamas will hold him up for $600 or $800 million to do so. You heard it here first. When Steve Bannon says it in 3 weeks, remember I said it first. There you have it. That was the shot heard round the world, picked up by Gateway Pundit, the Sentinel Patriot, and others. Here to talk about this is a man who knows more about both Barack and Michelle Obama than perhaps any person alive, author, filmmaker Joel Gilbert, whose new book and film are out on the market now, Michelle Obama 2024, joins us in the Stone Zone.
Okay, Roger, great to be with you, and great job on Sunday laying down the possibility, really probability, that Barack Obama is engineering his wife to become the nominee.
Well, you know, Joel, just as I told numerous people here on this show and elsewhere that Ron DeSantis was going to challenge President Trump for the Republican nomination, and I was chided and attacked for dividing the movement and being out of my mind. Of course, as a sage political observer, I was absolutely right. That's not working out too well for Governor DeSantis. And as a Floridian, at this point, I just wish he would return home and do the job we elected him to do. We have an insurance crisis. We have a utility rate crisis. We have a malaria crisis. We have a crime crisis. Yet our governor is talking to crowds of 13 and 30 people in Iowa instead of doing the job he was elected to do. Now, I've said on this show, I've had you as a guest several times, even prior to the publication of your amazing book and to the release of your amazing documentary, that Barack Obama is the de facto president today. There's a famous clip with Stephen Colbert where he basically says, yeah, I'd love a third term if I could just like be in the basement of my house in my sweats with a microphone hooked up to some kind of ear pods in the president. That would be really great. That's essentially, in my opinion, what we have right now. The Obamas did not have Joe Biden as their first, second, or third choice for the presidential nomination in the race against Donald Trump in 2020. They first tried to prop up Cory Booker. That didn't work. Then they tried to prop up Kamala Harris. That definitely didn't work. Then they even tried briefly to prop up Pete Buttigieg. And then they realized that the last guy standing, the most manipulable, the easiest guy to probably try to put across, and someone they could completely and totally control, because trust me, they're aware of his epic corruption and his shortcomings, was Joe Biden. That's how I think we got him. If you believe this guy got $81 million, well, I've got a bridge in Brooklyn I'd like to talk to you about selling. Joel, you have pointed out already that they changed the lineup of the Democratic primaries. By law, the Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary must be first. They have, since they are going to adhere to state law, they've been stripped of their delegates, but they're moving ahead to hold those contests anyway. Robert F. Kennedy will run in both places, but Joe Biden's name will not be on the ballot, nor will Michelle Obama's. Nobody will be on the ballot because it violates the rules of the Democratic National Committee. You also pointed out in a text to me this morning, which I should have mentioned Sunday, but I didn't, the convention is going to be held in Chicago. How amazingly coincidental. So, Joel, open this up for us. Where are we in Michelle Obama's plan, or I should say her husband's plan, to insert her in the White House?
The plan was very well developed. I've been following the Obamas for years. As soon as Trump left office, Michelle started mimicking exactly what Barack did to become president. Barack had a voter registration organization before he became president called Project Vote in Chicago. Michelle started When We All Vote, and since 2016, she's been running around the country trying to register voters. Barack wrote 2 autobiographies, Dreams from My Father and The Audacity of Hope, before he ran for president. Michelle wrote 2 autobiographies, Becoming and The Light We Carry. Barack also had, of course, Oprah Winfrey representing him and introducing him to the white female audience. Michelle released her interview on Netflix with Oprah, promoting her book and promoting herself. Lastly, Barack was the keynote speaker for Joe Biden in 2004. For John Kerry at the 2004 Democrat National Convention. That's the spot they give to the person they think will be the nominee at the next convention that introduces the candidate. Sure enough, Michelle Obama was the choice to introduce Joe Biden at the 2020 Democrat Convention. She was their big closer. So I see her very well positioned. She's been on stage with Bruce Springsteen. She's made very strong comments on every political development, including affirmative action last week. She released a formal statement. She's done everything she can to position herself to maintain her popularity with the public. She's had 15 years of all positive publicity, hundreds of magazine covers and talk shows. She's probably the most popular person in the country, if not the entire world. So she really is primed now to slip in there to become the Democrat nominee. And when she introduced Joe Biden, she said 3 sentences that I thought that's what she's going to say when she runs for president. When she introduced Joe Biden, she said, "You know, I hate politics, but I love this nation and I love your children." I think we're going to hear in November is going to be the deadline, because December 23rd is when most Democrat Party state caucuses and primaries require signatures to be submitted to get on the primary ballot. So I'm predicting that Joe Biden will drop out in November for any number of reasons. It could be my doctor told me, or my health. It could be because he's being impeached by the Republicans, all kind of crimes. And they'll turn to Michelle Obama, who's the only person, of course, that can raise $100 million in a week and get all the signatures she needs in a week. So November is going to be the critical month.
I agree with everything that you just said. Let's be very clear here on the mechanics. There are multiple ways in which Joe Biden could leave. He could resign, first pardoning himself and his brother, his son, and other members of the Biden crime family. Now, no president has ever pardoned themselves. When people thought that Nixon might do so, people like Lawrence Tribe, who's one of the greatest frauds ever walked the face of the earth, whose legal opinions are all politically based rather than based on the reality of the law, and others argued that he didn't have the power to do that. If Biden chooses to pardon himself, they will immediately begin arguing that there's nothing unusual about this, that he has the full ability to do that. If he refuses to go, and I think that's a possibility, not because he isn't non compos mentis, he is, but Dr. Jill really likes where she is now. She really likes the pomp and the ceremony and the ass kissing. She likes being the first lady. She's not going to go easily, in my opinion. Well, then, of course, they could remove Joe under the 25th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. You remember, that's the amendment that Rod Rosenstein was planning to try to remove Donald Trump under. It requires the active participation and approval of the sitting vice president, also requires that a majority of the cabinet favor the replacement of the president, based solely on a determination that they are no longer able to discharge their duties without any greater specificity. Under either scenario, Joe will be lauded as a statesman, as a great hero. They will blame his fading health for the reason that he is leaving the scene. They most certainly will not blame the raging scandals. Folks, if you haven't gone to MarcoPoloUSA.org, MarcoPoloUSA.org. I strongly urge you to do so. That is the nonprofit organization that has dedicated itself to publishing the annotated version of Hunter Biden's laptop. There's no interpretation here. They have footnoted it for simplicity and ease of understanding. They are under siege by Hunter Biden's extremely expensive but extremely ineffective lawyers who are courting sanctions, and worse if they continue their effort to censor what is already in the public domain. But if you look at Hunter Biden's laptop and the testimony of various totally credible whistleblowers now, even Jerry Nadler and Eric Swalwell and Dan Goldman cannot hide the fact that staring us in the face is evidence of extortion, bribery, money laundering, influence peddling, illegal lobbying, and yes, let's just say it, treason. They'll never admit that Joe is involved in any of this. They will blame his health for the fact that they are pulling him from the stage. But it could come sooner than you say, Joel, because the Biden scandals just keep getting bigger and more egregious. What's the significance of Michelle Obama's new Netflix special with Oprah, which they released, I guess, on April 25th?
Yeah, the Oprah special, again, Oprah has a very significant place in the Obama's history and lore. It was Oprah that kind of broke Obama through in 2008 by introducing him to her huge audience in various stadium tours that really broke the ice and got Obama accepted with her big audience, especially of white women. So Michelle has been hanging out with Oprah and using Oprah to help her draw an audience and deliver her message to that same audience. Michelle has been working the audiences of women and minorities for the past 4 years, outreach, and she's trying to develop that audience because those are the core constituent Democrat Party voters. In doing so, and through those autobiographies, she's created a false narrative, much like Barack Obama's background was completely fabricated. So too has Michelle fabricated a background story. And in my film and book, Michelle Obama 2024, I give you the real story. I talked to her mother, her 3 boyfriends, high school classmates, elementary school classmates, teachers, principals, you name it. And Michelle's been pushing this idea that she's from the south side of Chicago. She is not. She's from South Shore, which is a upper middle class area on Lake Michigan. It's where Jesse Jackson lives. He never said he was from the south side. And she's pushed this narrative that she was held back in life and was discriminated against because of her skin color. She pushes these stories nonstop in a phony effort to manipulate minority and black communities into supporting her politically. And the reality is that Michelle grew up afraid of black people. They were beating her up and accusing her of acting white and talking white, which means you have an attitude, you think you're better than others. For her education, instead of going to her all-black high school 1 block from her house, which is a good high school, she went an hour and a half away to study with whites. Her brother Craig, instead of going a block away to South Shore High School, the parents paid a lot of money to send him to a Catholic school, Mount Carmel, which was all white. So the Obamas were doing white flight in the 1970s. They were running away from black people. And I chronicle in the film how Michelle's 2 biggest jobs in Chicago, after her Harvard Law, she worked for the mayor of Chicago, and she was the assistant planning commissioner, and her job was to knock down the homes of black residents, of lower class black people. She knocked down Cabrini Green, which was a project. She made 20,000 blacks homeless and gave away the land to Democrat Party donor developers like Tony Rezko. And Michelle told the black residents, you're better off. This is good for you that we're taking away your home. And having proven how callous she was, the University of Chicago Medical Center hired Michelle to kick black people out of the emergency room because they were losing money on Southsiders coming up that didn't have insurance. So Michelle's job was to put people in these vans and send them back to the South Side to these crappy clinics where they got very poor health care. So Michelle was always hired by rich white elites, liberal elites, to deal with their problems with black people, knock down their homes and take away their health care and tell them it's good for you. They couldn't hire a white person for that. So Michelle has a horrible history with black people of being afraid of them, running away from them, and exploiting them. So she's trying to create in her autobiographies this false narrative that, hey, I'm just one of you ordinary black folks. I suffered discrimination too, and I saw white flight. No, Michelle was the person doing white flight. And all this comes out in the film. Black voters are no fools. If they understood and knew the abuse and exploitation that Michelle did in her career in Chicago, they would not support the Obamas. One of her biggest lies she'd been telling for 15 years, she says her high school counselor racially profiled her about applying to Princeton. She said the counselor told her, "You're black, you're stretching if you think you're going to Princeton." Well, I found out her high school counselor was a church-going black woman named Nan King, who was also an assistant principal. There's no way she racially profiled her. So that's what the film and book accomplish. It debunks Michelle's entire fabricated story where she's trying to manipulate especially black and minority voters into supporting her.
All right, we have a very exciting trailer for Joel Gilbert's film, Michelle Obama 2024. Let's roll it.
They could run Michelle Obama, and if they do,
Welcome, Michelle Obama!
Michelle Obama is the most popular woman in America.
You know I hate politics.
You can forget about the disclaimer. I'm convinced that Michelle Obama is running for president in 2024.
Systemic racism, pepper spray, and rubber bullets on peaceful protesters.
She's following the exact same formula that Barack did to become president. Michelle was the keynote speaker at the 2020 Democrat convention, just like Barack was in 2004. Barack once ran a voter registration organization. Now, so does Michelle.
That's how we change America.
Also, Barack Obama based his candidacy on his personal story. Michelle has done the exact same thing. But like Barack, Michelle tells a life story that is more fiction than fact.
Maybe somebody's going to discover that I shouldn't be here.
Now, come along on an investigation into the real Michelle Obama and her plan for power. I found out Michelle's father worked for the Democrat Party machine.
My father, he was a precinct captain in Chicago. People would come for money.
It turns out Michelle was never a part of the black community.
In that household, there was fear.
You talk like a white girl.
You could get your butt kicked if you talk like a white girl. What was going on in the 70s was what we called white flight.
The only person doing white flight in the 1970s was Michelle Robinson.
You're told by a school counselor you're not Princeton material.
You're black, maybe you're stretching.
Michelle was no victim of racism. In fact, Michelle has been running from the black community her whole life.
Hyde Park is the best neighborhood.
And Michelle sold out the black community working for the mayor of Chicago.
This is turning into a ghetto. You better run.
They just take our home like this here.
And she sold them out as a hospital executive, kicking poor black patients out of the ER.
Yeah, like that.
I learned that to get power, Michelle pretends to be part of the black community she exploited all her life.
Lo and behold, trying to pay your own rent.
Imposter syndrome.
All-out war between the pigs and us.
And it turns out Michelle's close friend and mentor was an anti-American radical.
The politics of fear.
Because of fear.
Your fear. They want you to be afraid of change. We're working to change the future of this nation. We need you. Are you in?
Fundamentally transforming the United States of America.
And to transform America, Michelle plans to rule America come Election Day 2024.
Very, very powerful. Joel, let's go back. You raised a very key point, and that is the influence of Bernardine Dohrn, the radical from the 60s and 70s, on the political development of Michelle Obama. This reminds me of the Reverend Jeremiah Wright, who played a very similar role in Barack Obama's formation and ultimately his rise. Tell us about the Bernadette Dohrn role in all of this.
Bernadine Dorn was head of the Weather Underground with her husband, Bill Ayers, who is known as an Obama crony for many, many years. Bernadine Dorn, I was told by Larry Grathwohl, who was a FBI informant in the Weather Underground, that Bernadine Dorn personally assembled and placed a bomb that murdered San Francisco police detective named Brian McDonnell. Michelle met Bernadine Dorn and worked with her for 2 years at the Sidley and Austin law firm in Chicago. And the bond is so strong because they spent years, the Obamas, going to have dinner at the home of Ayers and Dorn in Chicago in the 90s. So the influence of these anti-American 60s radicals cannot be overstated on the Obamas. So much so that when Michelle was a community organizer, people don't know that she was a community organizer like Barack was for 3 years with an organization called Public Allies. And it was kind of like a way to form the deep state. What they would do is they would take people that were down and out. If you got out of prison, you dropped out of college or high school, they would give you for 10 months a job in the Chicago bureaucracy 4 days a week. And on the 5th day, they would radicalize you at their headquarters. And Michelle's first guest lecturer was none other than Bernadine Dorn. And I traced the common way of speech of Michelle Obama directly to Bernadine Dorn. Bernadine Dorn, as you saw in the trailer, in the 60s talked about the politics of fear. And that was this theory that Americans are all afraid of each other and we're afraid of other countries and all the policies are based on fear. Well, that's all Michelle talked about, word for word. I have it in the film. Michelle talks about the politics of fear. All this anti-American nonsense comes directly from Ayers and Dorn. And Michelle's relationship with Bernadine Dorn is something that she later tried to hide, but the political development and worldview of Michelle Obama very much has a connection to Bernadine Dorn.
Folks, if you're just tuning in, this is the Stone Zone. I'm interviewing a documentarian, author, filmmaker, Joel Gilbert, also happens to be perhaps the world's foremost expert on the work of Bob Dylan. And my good friend Joel Gilbert, we need to keep him in guitar picks. So I'm going to tell you, you can get his book and his movie. We're going to throw up that website and ask you to check it out. Here's the thing about Joel Gilbert. Everything he publishes, every film he makes, his documentation, his research is meticulous. And he doesn't have George Soros or anyone like him financing his educational projects. I worked with him on a very seminal film on Danny Williams, who is the illegitimate son of Bill Clinton, who was banished by Hillary Clinton. I find some similarities, Joel, in between Hillary Clinton and Michelle Obama. When I think of Michelle Obama, I think of her on the cover of Vogue multiple times. I think of the Michelle Obama who loves couture, loves these expensive, exclusive designers. Yet there have been times in her political life, and she is very political, despite the fact that she says otherwise, when she's like kind of downgraded her image to try to fit in better in the Black community. Tell us about that.
Yeah, nothing really demonstrates how phony Michelle Obama is than her use of fashion and how she really was a celebrity fashionista for years. I interviewed her hairdresser from when she was 18 years old. She had a celebrity hairdresser in Chicago. She hit all the big Miracle Mile fashion designers like Maria Pinto and Ikram Goldman, so much so that when Barack became U.S. Senator in 2004, Michelle was voted to the top 25 Vanity Fair International Best Dressed list. Now, what happens in 2008, though, when Michelle goes out to campaign for Barack? She doesn't show up dressed in her Maria Pinto fashion and say, hey, I'm another Harvard lawyer like my husband. She shows up dressed like a homeless person. She doesn't comb her hair. She wears old T-shirts and old sweaters and tries to propagate the nonsense that I'm just a regular 1950s black housewife. She puts on a phony urban accent, as you saw in the trailer, to black audiences, pretending, hey, I'm just one of you. Of course, when she got back into the White House, Michelle went right back to her big fashionista lifestyle. Now that she's politicking again, of course, she's trying to put on this idea that she's just kind of an ordinary person. You might remember from 2008, Michelle was running around the country to huge audiences, giving very nasty speeches, reflective of Bernadine Dorn, about how awful America was. She said, you can't pay your mortgage, you can't buy food, you can't afford childcare, don't get sick in this country. And she kind of went over the top and said, when Barack won a primary, she said, you know, for the first time in my life, I'm proud of my country. Now, she said a lot worse things than that, but the media got a hold of that, and that's when the Obama campaign told her, look, everyone's going to end up hating you like they hate Hillary, and we're going to lose the election because of you. So she got a speechwriter, and she came up with a new idea. She said, okay, I hate politics, and I just want to be the mom in chief. So she kind of took a step back, but she really was the co-candidate. She'd say, Barack and I in our campaign and what we're going to do in the White House. She's a better politician than Barack. She's a better speaker. She comes across more authentic than Barack, but she is just as phony, if not more so. And her biggest thing is using fashion, using language, pretending to have an urban accent when she needs one, to manipulate minority voters into giving her power. And that's what Michelle Obama is all about.
All right, we're going to ask Joel Gilbert to hold on here while we go to a quick commercial break. Then we're going to come back to Joel Gilbert for a continuation of this extraordinary discussion as we document our joint belief that Michelle Obama is the likely 2024 Democratic national candidate. As I said in my speech at Turning Point USA, within the confines of the modern Democratic Party, they cannot nominate a white male for president. Joe Biden will be the last white male that they nominate, and they have a conundrum. They have a problem. Joe Biden said while running for the Democratic nomination that if he was selected, that he would choose a black woman to be his running mate. The list of qualified candidates was rather thin. He got Kamala Harris. She's not African American. She is Jamaican American, and she is not proved to be very adept as a public speaker or as someone who is plausible as president of the United States. So they have a gigantic political problem. Joe Biden is falling apart before our very eyes. This vacant stare, these long silences, doctors I respect tell me this is evidence that he has early Alzheimer's, perhaps even more developed Alzheimer's. They can't deny that he keeps falling down. He shakes hands with people who don't exist. He appears to be lost. He visited Ireland just a few days upon returning. He said he couldn't remember the last time he'd been out of the country. We're going to be right back with Joel Gilbert to talk about this and more. But in the meantime, I want to remind you that we keep the lights on here. We're able to bring you this kind of incisive programming thanks to the great folks at MyPillow.com. Now, I saw Mike Lindell at Turning Point USA. He may be the only person there who got a better hand than President Donald Trump, or certainly as good. Grassroots activists love Mike Lindell. That's because he helps so much of us. So many of us, My wife and I are very indebted to Mike Lindell because, well, when you buy great products here from the Stone Zone at MyPillow.com, we get a very fair commission. So please go to MyPillow.com now and use promo code STONE for all of your needs. Specifically, of course, first and foremost right now is the revolutionary new MyPillow 2.0. Now you may be saying, I've got all of the MyPillow pillows I could possibly ever want. That's not true, folks. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, if you order the new MyPillow 2.0, not only do you buy one, get one free, so you get one at the discounted price of $89.98, but Mike Lindell throws in a second pillow, for free. You will actually throw out all of your other pillows and you'll immediately order 2 more of these because they're extraordinary. They have a built-in cooling technology so that the pillow is always cool to the touch. Well, that means you don't have to keep flipping it over through the night to get the cooler side of the pillow for the best night's sleep you've ever had. So let me urge you right now, before this special discounted price is no more, to get your very own MyPillow 2.0 and be sure to use promo code STONE when you do it. Other outstanding products I love the bath towels. The six-piece bath towel set of a durable, absorbent terry cloth is unlike any other bath or shower towel you're going to get in the marketplace. I learned this from Mike Lindell himself. Most of the towels that you buy online or say in the department stores are treated with an oil that makes the terry cloth more durable but much, much less absorbent. The whole point of a great bath or shower towel is to dry you off. Duh. So here you can get a six-piece MyPillow towel set. These were originally $99.98. They're now, then they were knocked down to $49.99. Today, you can get a full set of 6 for $25. As you can see, they come in multiple colors. So this is one of those MyPillow specials you're going to want to take advantage of immediately. And when you do, please use promo code STONE. There are other great products there. We talk about them constantly. I'm going to hit them one more time. We're animal lovers here. Mrs. Stone and I have had 9 Yorkshire Terriers and 1 Wheaton Terrier, who is a rescue dog. There you see my babies, Mimi and Pee-wee, brother and sister from the same litter. Yes, they are Yorkshire Terriers. By the way, thanks to many of the StoneZONE viewers who send us pictures by email or text, in some cases even mail, of your Yorkshire Terriers. They too are beautiful. We love seeing your babies just like you love seeing ours. But our dogs love their MyPillow dog beds. There they are. The dog beds, the small are $39.98 originally, with promo code STONE $19.99. The medium was originally $79.98. Now with promo code STONE $39.99, and the large, and it's very large, originally $139.98. Now with promo code STONE knocked down to $69.99. And if you're going to go for the dog beds, let's just say it, you got to have the MyPillow pet blankets. The pet blankets have multiple purposes. There's a special car blanket, as a matter of fact, but this protects your furniture, protects the interior of your car, keeps your pets, dogs or cats, snug as a bug. Mrs. Stone and I, as I have said, like to crank down the air conditioning, like to sleep with it very cold, but I worry about the dogs. They don't want to sleep under the covers, but they will sleep under their MyPillow pet blankets. The pet blankets, again, the small originally was $27.99 with promo code STONE $19.59. The medium was $39.99. Now with promo code STONE, that is $29.99. The large, originally $99.99, that's $100, knocked down to $49.98. And the special car pet blanket, originally $113.98, with promo code STONE, a low $69.98. So whether it is the dog beds or the pet blankets or the all-season slippers or the men and women's moccasin-style loafers, the 6-piece towel set, the MyPillow throw blankets, the MyPillow waffle blankets, the very popular mattress toppers, the Giza Dream Sheets or the Percal sheets. All of these great products can be found at mypillow.com. And please remember to use promo code STONE. Now, I know there are many show hosts here at frankspeech.com and other alternative programming who are urging you to use their promo codes. I have no problem with that. You can do it on another day. But today I ask you to help us keep the lights on, help us keep the gas tank filled, help us keep groceries on the kitchen table by using promo code STONE. Now we return to our guest, Joel Gilbert. Joel Gilbert not only made this great documentary about Michelle Obama, but he also made a great documentary. I want to talk to him now about Donald Trump. Tell us about your Donald Trump documentary, Joel.
Yeah, when Trump got elected, I set out to make a film, and I made it called Trump, the Art of the Insult. And you can watch the trailer, see the movie. It's on Amazon, on DVD and live stream. And what I did is I took all the clips of Donald Trump really manhandling the media each of his Republican Party rivals and Hillary Clinton and disposing of them one by one. And when you watch this movie, not only do you laugh more than you've ever laughed in your whole life, but you really understand the marketing genius of Donald Trump. He was the only New Yorker of the group, and he really had a strong understanding of Madison Avenue, of advertising, how to really drive the media in a certain direction, how to retain the attention of the media nonstop. So Trump got about, I think they calculated $4 billion of free earned media just by knowing how to create nicknames, how to respond immediately to the press, to Ted Cruz, to Marco Rubio, anybody that challenged him. His talent especially was being a counterpuncher. If you said something about Donald Trump, he would basically destroy you within 24 hours. So he really is a marketing genius, and the way he kind of bashed his way to the White House by taking on everyone, I think we're going to see a repeat of that in 2024. If I was advising Trump on dealing with Michelle Obama, I would tell him he needs to call her an Oreo, which is what the kids in the neighborhood called her growing up. You're black on the outside, but you're really white on the inside. That was a major insult. If I was Donald Trump, I would say, Michelle, are you going to apologize for what you did to the black community in Chicago? Michelle, how many millions did you make preventing black people from getting access to health care? Those kind of questions would certainly open up the dialogue, and I think black people would see how that Michelle betrayed the black community and exploited them, and she's just ripe for the pickings of Donald Trump. The Democrats think that she's, going to be an untouchable candidate, but she has these weaknesses. Her biggest weakness is the way she exploited black people her whole life.
Now, Joel, I know that you are a musician, a songwriter, an author, a documentary filmmaker. You're not a political strategist, but here's a question on which I want to get your advice. There is no right or wrong answer. Fox News has a debate coming up in which the Republican National Committee is a sponsor, and they've invited all of the Republican candidates for president. President Donald Trump has not said yet whether he intends to participate, although he has said publicly that he recognizes that such a debate, particularly given his treatment by Bret Baier several weeks ago on Fox, is fraught with peril. It's not that he's not a great debater. He's probably the greatest debater in American political history, certainly the greatest debater in this field. Obviously, candidates like Chris Christie, a man who's not even breaking 1% of the vote, spoiling for a fight. As I said to the Turning Point USA folks, Chris Christie needs to run, not for president. He just needs to run. Revenge is not a very good reason to run for president. Sorry, Chris, you were passed over for numerous jobs, probably because your complicity in the George Washington Bridge scandal is obvious to all of us, even if it wasn't obvious to the court. But do you think, under these circumstances, with a, take your pick, 30, 40, 50-point lead over the field, that President Donald Trump should participate in this specific upcoming Fox debate?
Well, Donald Trump is very good at debates. You could argue that the reason he became president is because of debates, because he was able to shine so much and put the other candidates in their place. Every candidate started off like Jeb Bush sitting next to him, and every time there was another debate, they would move one spot over to the left because they had less and less support, and until they were completely off. So debating is certainly his talent, but you have a situation where the only reason anyone would watch the Fox News debate would be because Donald Trump was on it. So right there, if he's not on the debate, no one's going to watch it, and Trump can simply have an event or a rally somewhere and get much better ratings and more attention. I don't see anything productive for Donald Trump to go there with people like Chris Christie, whose only reason to be in the race is to take shots at him. I don't think it would help him in any way. So if I was advising Donald Trump, I'd tell him, skip the debate, have an outdoor rally with your supporters, and show a contrast on another channel like Newsmax to the Fox News debate, which probably won't get much ratings anyway.
Yeah, I don't really know how you can have a debate if the front runner doesn't show up. I don't think he's made a decision yet, but I get the impression that he is leaning against it. I also, when he asked me, I told him the story of Richard Nixon. Richard Nixon was an 8-year vice president of the United States. He had a slim lead over John Kennedy. He was far, far better known than John Kennedy. When Senator John Kennedy challenged the sitting vice president to a series of 4 debates. President Dwight Eisenhower, Governor Tom Dewey, Senator Everett Dirksen, Senator Barry Goldwater, his own running mate, Henry Cabot Lodge, all urged Nixon not to debate the far lesser known John Kennedy, thus elevating and putting him on the same level as Vice President Nixon. Nixon assured all of them that he had no intention of debating John Kennedy. Of course, the next morning, every one of them opened the paper to read that Nixon had agreed to a series of 4 debates. Well, we know how that worked out. The first debate, he had a terrific handicap in the sense that Nixon bumped his knee on a car door shortly after Labor Day, developed a staph infection, was actually hospitalized for 2 weeks after Labor Day, unable to campaign, running a fever, on antibiotics to try to get his infection under control. He'd also made a foolhardy pledge at the 1960 convention to visit every state. He came roaring out of the hospital on his way to Chicago, where the first debate was held. He did 5 rallies in 5 states on his way to Chicago. He showed up in Chicago absolutely, thoroughly exhausted. While John Kennedy sunned himself on the roof of the Chicago hotel with 2 stunning hookers, Nixon went to his room to cram for the debate. They say at the lighting check that Nixon's face was almost as gray as his suit. He would then make the disastrous decision not to accept any makeup for the debate because he was under the false impression given to him by Senator Kennedy that Kennedy would not be made up. But Kennedy had his own personal makeup man flown in from New York, and he looked like a bronzed god, according to the author Teddy White, Theodore White, who wrote The Making of the President in 1960, his New York Times best-selling book. Now, a footnote to history, there were 3 more debates. In those debates, Nixon not only gained 15 pounds on a regimen of milkshakes, he also got a sun lamp. And history records that while the audience for debates 2 and 3 was much smaller, the audience for debate 4 was almost as large as the audience for debate 1. And well, this is the debate in which Nixon posted his strongest defense. I think this is the consensus of historians. He actually had his best debate performance of the 4, pretty much wiping up the floor with John Kennedy, whose act was starting to get a little old. So my advice to Trump would be similar to yours. I'm not saying that he should not debate down the road. I would preserve that option. He may want to, he may not want to, but this smells to me like a trap. This smells to me like 6 on 1 with a hostile moderator. This would be akin to the CNN town hall event where I thought Trump handles himself extraordinarily well under a great deal of tension. With Donald Trump, you have to recognize something. Donald Trump will always get the last word, no matter what. He's demonstrated that again and again. It's what elected him president. It's what made him great on the debate stage. So, Joel, I appreciate your analysis. To go back to Michelle Obama then, I remember Hillary Clinton claiming she carried a bottle of hot sauce in her purse. That was a lie. I remember her affecting a thick Southern accent, which, of course, since she was from Chicago and been a Goldwater girl, if she came from a Republican family, I'm ashamed to say, that was yet another piece of fake imagery. Republicans, conservatives, critics of the Obamas, there are many, many, many jokes about Michelle Obama's sexuality. We are not going to talk or speculate about her gender on this show, but I want to know what you think about how formidable she would be as a candidate, because you see, I believe that she would be extraordinarily difficult to beat. I think she could be the strongest possible potential Democratic candidate they could nominate. She has no public record other than the record that you point out has been carefully hidden and has been carefully rewritten in a false way. Don't you think that she would be very tough to beat?
Yes, I think Michelle Obama would be the toughest Democrat candidate. And first of all, she solves the biggest problem that the deep staters and the people that harvest ballots have, is the issue of plausibility. If they say Joe Biden is leading in all the swing state polls by 10%, no one believes it. If they say Joe Biden won by 5% on election night, you don't believe it. But with Michelle Obama, if you say she's leading or she won on election night, you'd say, well, you know, she's so popular, I guess I believe that. So she's had 15 years of all positive publicity, hundreds of magazine covers, talk shows. They call her now the forever First Lady. She's got probably the most popular person in the world for that matter. So she has 100% media support. She checks all the boxes of the Democrats. The Democrats, as you mentioned, are leaning toward ethnic, female, minority candidates. They don't want white males or even probably white women. Everyone that Biden has appointed, UN ambassador, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, of course, the Speaker of the House, it's all ethnic and minority candidates. So Michelle is a black female who carries the Obama name that the Democrats love. There's nothing they want more than Obama in their life. You might remember the saddest piece of presidential video history is when Obama went to the White House last year and was mobbed by all the staffers, who were his staffers, of course, originally, that he inserted back with Biden. And Joe Biden was wandering around behind him and tapped him on the shoulder to get his attention. Obama ignored him, and Biden wandered around again. So there's no question that Michelle would have immense support and popularity, especially those constituent groups of women and minorities that she's been working on with these autobiographies, with Oprah. She'd be very difficult to beat. But if anyone could do it, it would be Donald Trump, and it would be with exposing her real story, not the fabricated story that she suffered from discrimination. Tell the story that I tell in my film. Michelle went to Paris with her French club in high school. I didn't go to Paris in high school. Michelle was in a dance class learning tap and jazz and performing all over Chicago from age 7. Michelle was a very privileged kid from a political family. Her father was a precinct captain. Michelle grew up in Jesse Jackson's house during high school. She was best friends with his daughter Santita when Jackson was running for president. So she's really a political animal, Michelle. She loves politics, and she's just itching to get back into it. And she's going to be very difficult to beat. But that's why I made the film and the book, is to show that if you tell her real story, who she really was growing up, someone afraid of black people, that ran away from them, that exploited them, that abused and harmed black people to make money, I think the black community will abandon her because they don't like somebody who's an Oreo, who you know, has identification with white people and abuses black people. And that's her real history. And I think that's what Donald Trump can expose if he goes up against Michelle Obama, and I think that will be the case.
Extraordinary that Barack Obama, during his presidency, during the time that his party had both houses of Congress, no effort whatsoever at criminal justice reform, no effort whatsoever to change our draconian, and yes, racist drug laws, no effort at all. In fact, when Donald Trump came along, between the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act, he is the one who put some balance, some justice back in those laws. Number of Democrats in Congress, like the late John Lewis, who've been crusading for these very reforms for decades, voted against them simply because it was Donald Trump who proposed them.
Let me point out that I'll point out that it was Obama did nothing for black people in his first term. The economy was bad. Illegals were coming in, taking away jobs, driving down wages. And it really wasn't sure that blacks would come out and support Obama again to vote for re-election to him. And I made a film called The Trayvon Hoax, where I exposed what Obama did to get black voters inflamed to come out and vote for him and Michelle for second term. He picked up on the Trayvon Martin case, where as the police had exonerated George Zimmerman as a self-defense shooting, they got a fake witness named Rachel Juntel who pretended to be on the phone with Trayvon. I showed all the proof that it was really a girl named Brittany Diamond Eugene, was the half-sister who refused to lie to the police, who had met with Trayvon Martin's parents in Crump. She wouldn't lie to the cops, so they got this girl who was 150 pounds heavier than Trayvon and 2 years older to falsely claim she heard things over the phone. And on that basis, they arrested Zimmerman. He was exonerated again, and that's how Black Lives Matter was formed. But Obama picked up on that case. He said, if I had a son, he'd look like Trayvon. And he embraced Black Lives Matter, brought him into the White House, and Obama then pursued this very cynical racial policy and racial rhetoric that flipped the country. When he was elected president, 70% of both whites and blacks said race relations were positive. I grew up in Tennessee in the 70s. I never heard the N-word. Black and white kids were all together. There was never any problem. Suddenly in 2012 with Barack and Michelle Obama, now it's Black Lives Matter. By the time they finished in office, it flipped. It was now only 30% of blacks and whites believed race relations were good. So Obama and his wife, their cynical use of race to get political support, ruined race relations in this country that had been healed by Martin Luther King, by the idea that you judge people on the strength of their character, not by the color of their skin. And it was Barack and Michelle that manipulated the black community for the purposes of maintaining power.
Well, I became convinced, Joel, that your theory is absolutely correct when I saw that Michelle Obama put out a statement on the recent U.S. Supreme Court decision on affirmative action. Why would a former First Lady of the United States who had no political aspirations, who hates politics, put out a statement on that issue? The Obamas' estimated net worth today, what would you say? Take a guess.
It's in the hundreds of millions with their Netflix and production deals, their two properties. Obviously, they think global warming is a hoax. They've got a big mansion in Martha's Vineyard right on the ocean and one building in Hawaii. So their true colors, I think people know, but Michelle has built up a powerful marketing effort for years to overcome all of that. And I see her slipping in November and being welcomed. And as you talked about in your speech at TPUSA, she doesn't have to campaign in 100 counties in Iowa. They set her up in South Carolina, which she claims as her adopted home state. Her grandparents are from South Carolina. She used to go there for family reunions in high school. And they have, half the electorate are African American. And then they set up the perfect, homegirl DNC convention in Chicago. It couldn't be more obvious.
I completely agree. All right, let's throw up that website one more time so people know where they can get Joel Gilbert's great film and his book. Go to MichelleObama24.com, MichelleObama24.com. That's MichelleObama24.com. You can order the film in DVD. You can order the terrific book. There you see the cover of the book and the film. Joel Gilbert, truth teller. I'm honored to count you among our friends. And Joel, I want to thank you very much for appearing here in the Stone Zone.
Great to be back with you. Let's do it again sometime.
All right, folks, that was Joel Gilbert following up on the breaking news created by my speech at Turning Point USA, where I correctly said that I believe that they will soon give Joe Biden the hook. He won't be a candidate, and they will replace him with Michelle Obama. You can read about it at the Gateway Pundit. I ask you to go by StoneZONE.com, StoneZONE.com. That is my new website. We have just expanded it, done a complete revamp. You're going to want to subscribe there. It's absolutely free. That's where you can see my latest videos or my latest print pieces or other notable notes, things in the news that I think are getting adequate coverage. StoneZone.com. In the meantime, this has been the Stone Zone. We're here every day at 4 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Eastern. You can find us by going to StoneZone.live. Until tomorrow, God bless you and Godspeed.
You're watching Lindell TV.
You're still looking good.
I'm still feeling good. I've got all your MyPillow products. Mattress topper, bed sheets, MyPillows, towels, slippers, blankets, sleepwear, dog beds.
Whoa, Charles. Everyone now can get MyPillow products at huge discounts at MyPillow.com. That's right. Now's the time to go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of our 3-in-1 sale. We're bringing you exciting new products, overstock specials, and closeout deals you won't find anywhere else. For example, when you buy one of our brand new MyPillow 2.0s, you get another one absolutely free. And with our overstock sale, you save 50% on our luxurious Giza Dream bed sheets. That's as low as $29.99 for the best sheets ever. And with our biggest closeout special, you get our all-season slippers for only $35. Or our sandals and slides for just $25. Quantities are limited, and once they're gone, they're gone.